Thanks, Brian. Good evening, guys. My name's Cliff. I'm an alcoholic. Um, Happy to be here this evening. Brian texted me and asked if I could speak at some point this month. And for me, if the hand of AA is out, I'm there. But what I neglected to look at was that my Patriots are actually playing Monday Night Football right now. But I know that if I want what I've got to do this first. So AA is always in the number one slot for me. Um, it took me a long time to get here, and it's been a lot of work to stay, but certainly been worth it. So my sobriety date is April 26, 2010. For me, it took forever for me to get sober. So if you're new, I heard earlier 4 hours, 14 days, 15 days. If you're new, just keep coming, because that's what I needed to do. I knew I was in the right spot, but it took a long time for me to string this together. A little bit about my story. I started drinking. The first time I ever drank was in seventh grade, and a couple of buddies and we stole some beers from our fathers, and we went down to the cemetery and we were drinking some beers, and we had like a Playboy magazine, and we're goofing around, and then we ended up breaking into a creamery and like throwing around chocolate milk and just smashing things. And from the get-go, for me, the first time I drank, I had that spiritual loss of values that you hear about in this program. And that's the way it was for me. When I drank, I did things I would never do. And it just stayed with me. And I didn't drink that one time and then the next day have another drink. That's not my story. I had a normal upbringing. I lived in a a warm home. My mom and dad both worked. My father owned a little bar, and my mother worked at a school. We didn't have much. We had like a 900 square foot house, and my brother and I lived in a little tiny room together. And but we had everything we needed. And my parents were there for me, and they were good to me. And had a great childhood. Had a lot of friends. Played sports, and after a while, ice hockey became a huge part of my life. I was one of the best players in Massachusetts, and went on to have a great high school career. I was a goaltender, and was really popular in school, and was on the all-star teams and travel teams, and had a lot of friends. I had a lot of girlfriends. Had a part-time job. I was like an all-American boy. And but what happened to me was, every time I had a drink, I would do something that was really out of character for me. And it wasn't until, really for me, it wasn't until I got to college that alcohol became a problem. And I was drinking a lot, and I was there on a scholarship to play ice hockey in college, and I was I was I was more interested in where the 2 for 1 was, and where the dance club was, and all of a sudden everything else started to take a back seat to my social life, which was heavily involved drinking. So my grades started to suffer, my ice time started to suffer, my relationships all sucked. I was incapable of really having a relationship, because I was so self-centered. It was just about me. I wanted what I wanted when I wanted it, and if you weren't on board with that, then that relationship just didn't last long. And or I would have a relationship that I was interested in, and the woman would find out that I just wasn't much good, and they would leave. So
Mm.
it was it was a strange time where I knew from the get-go that alcohol was too big of a part of my life, but I just wasn't willing to face up to that. And, I had a lot of little scrapes along the way. You know, smashed a car. I used to black out all the time. I'd wake up places not knowing where I was. I would wake up the next day and my friends would tell me, you did this, you did that, or, all these little things started to add up. But they were never big enough for me to really address the drinking. I got pulled over in college for a DWI and I got off, So as far as was concerned, that never happened. There was no consequences, so it didn't mean much to me. But as I got older, I had more to lose. I got out of college, I got a great job. I sell technology for a living. And I landed a really great job and had a company car and expense account. And, just like it says in the big book, I was doing all those crazy things with my expense account. And, I had a lot of relationships, but they could never really add up. And then I met this beautiful woman. I was in my mid to late 20s. I meet this beautiful woman and we get married. And I thought that was going to make a big difference in my life. But it didn't. She wanted a soulmate. She wanted a relationship. She wanted a future. And I was more concerned about, hanging out with my buddies, drinking when I wanted to drink. There were other things involved as well. And I went away for a trip one time for work, and I came back and she was gone. And that was really the first thing that alcohol took from me, that relationship, that marriage. She just couldn't stick around anymore. And that was, alcohol started to take things at that point. And I had, a long period of time where I was by myself, I was single. And, the drinking had really escalated. There was nobody to, give me a hard time. I was living on my own. I had a great job. I was still making plenty of money. But I was drinking just so much. And, again, things started to happen, as they do. That's progressive disease. And, I started getting in trouble at work. My production, I'm a sales guy, my production started to take a hit. And, I started getting asked by my boss, what was going on? Do you need help? Those types of things. And I just refused to take that help. And, I would essentially move to a different sales team or do something just so I could sort of run away. I'm a runner, I would just run away from my problems. And, the drinking had escalated to the point now where, I was drinking, at lunchtime. The morning drink hadn't become a part of my daily drinking, but that was just a yet. And at that point, it was very difficult for me to make it through a day without a drink. I would keep a little calendar and I would kind of keep a tab on what I was doing when I was drinking, all the things it talks about in the big book. I tried to change where I was going, what I was drinking, who I was with, but I never changed anything about myself. And it just kept on going that way. Then I met my wife, who I'm married to today, and she's a beautiful woman. And at the time, her son was 10 years old, And, I had no idea how to be a parent. I had no idea really how to be a husband. But I tried, you know, and, we had a lot of ups and downs because of booze. We had some fun too, but we had a lot of ups and downs. And, the relationships that I had with my family and her son, were all strained because of my drinking. And, she started coming down on me about it. And this is the one of the insanity of alcoholism as it relates to my story. My wife, she comes home from work one day. She says, "You've been drinking." I said, "No, I haven't been drinking." And she pulled out a breathalyzer and she, just popped it in my mouth and said, "Blow into this," and I swipe it away and leave the house and, screaming at her, "This is why I drink. You drive me to drink," all these things. You would think that something like that would sort of set off something where you'd say, "I got to get some help," but I didn't get help. What I did was I went out and I bought that exact same breathalyzer, and I figured out when I could start drinking and when I had to stop, so that when she came home at night from working all day, that I could blow a zero. And that's the insanity of alcoholism. You know, Booze was calling the shots. I had lost the control, and it was just a horrible way to live life. And that started my journey for me, really, because I started going to, I do a commitment in a facility here all the time, and I always say to the people there, "You know what? I know exactly how you feel because I've been in those places 10 or 12 times." I would go in, I would get, either a detox or a residential or a program. I would get straightened out. And most of the time on the way home, I would drink because I had no program. I had no sponsor. I had no higher power. I was trying to do things all on my own control, and it just didn't work. And but I knew I belonged in AA. I really did, and I kept on coming. I just kept on coming, and I was going to a meeting almost daily, and it was a morning meeting. It's called "What's Good About Today." I remember there, and I would go there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I would leave, and most of the time I would drink that day. And like I said, I just kept on going and kept on going, and things got bad and got worse before they got better. And I had several more stints with detoxes and residential facilities, and lots more problems. Financial problems, marital problems, law problems, work problems. But the worst problem that I had was the soul sickness. I hated myself. I hated the guy I was looking in the mirror. I just couldn't do it. I would wake up every single day and I would say, "Today's the day I'm going to stay sober." And before I knew it, without my permission, I was drinking. And, things just got to the point where my wife was like, "Listen, I love you, but I can't do it anymore." So I went to this place, Webster Place, and it was perfect for me. It was like AA for dummies. It was a 45-day program. I walked in there. They gave you a big book, a living sober book, step book, you name it. You had all these books, and you had a little cubby hole, and you went to class, and you went to meetings, and you had therapists there. And I was there for 45 days and went through this program. And for the first time in my life, I walked out of there and I felt like a free man. For the first time, I really felt like I had a shot. And what they told me was that, I had a track record. that proved that if I didn't go to AA immediately, meaning that night, that it was highly likely that I was going to drink. So I took their advice, and I got home and I said hello to everybody, and I went back out and I went to a meeting, and I'm sitting in this meeting, and it's a PowerPoint presentation meeting, and I'm saying to myself, wow, this is the coolest meeting I've ever been to. You know, I'm a high-tech sales guy. I'm like, this is great. And I realized after about 4 or 5 minutes that I wasn't at an AA meeting, that I was at an insurance seminar. And I was like, so like broken. I was so hurt. You know, I was like, oh my God, you know. So I stormed out of there, and I was going to have a drink. And this guy who I'd never met before in my life. So if you have a problem believing in a higher power, listen up. So I'm walking out in the parking lot of this place to go have a drink. And this guy comes walking up to me. I've never met him before in my life. He's never met me. And he's late to every meeting he's ever been to, I've heard. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Are you looking for something?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for an AA meeting." And he literally put his arm around me and he said, "Come with me. It's upstairs tonight." And he brought me up the stairs, and I sat in that meeting, and I stayed sober that night. And it was a miracle because I was going to have a drink. And, you know, the next day I did exactly what they told me to do. I went to another meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning that I'd been to, like I said, for over a year. And I stood up and I said to all the guys there that I needed help. And, you know, I was upset, I was crying, and all these guys rallied around me. And I had my first sponsor used to say to me, Paul Allen, he died recently, used to say, you know, Cliff, AA is like a warm blanket. He said, if you come, AA will be like a warm blanket. And that's what it was. Those guys took care of me. They took me to a million meetings. You know, we went to a million meetings, and, you know, I eventually got up the courage to ask this guy, Paul, to be my sponsor. And, you know, he was my sponsor for 7, 8 years. And he, like I said, he recently passed away. But that guy, you know, taught me everything that I needed to know about AA. You know, he taught me that meet and makers make it. He taught me that I needed to get down on my knees every single morning and every single night, that I needed to read the literature, that I needed to understand it. You know, he took me through the big book. I ran a big book meeting for about 3 years. After that, I moved to the step meeting. That's where I met Brian. And I've been going to that step meeting for, I don't know, 10 years. And, you know, that's just one of the meetings that I go to. Every single week I go to the step meeting, and I've got a bunch of meetings that I go to. You know, I sponsor a couple of guys. You know, I do the best I can with that. You know, but you know, I need to do all the little things. That's what I found. That was what was missing. That I needed to do all the little things. And if I do the little things, all the big things will take care of itself. You know, so today, you know, you can really set your watch by my program. You know, I read that daily reflection, I get down on my knees, I get myself ready for the day, and I try and just bring the best version of me that I can bring. You know, when I'm jammed up, when things aren't going my way, you know, you know, sometimes I start my day over. You know, I get to a meeting, I call my new sponsor. You know, I call somebody else in the program. Most of my friends are in the program now. Like I said, I know that I have to do all the little things. And I can tell you that with that, all the relationships that I have today are are so much better because I show up to them. Um, my mom's 89 years old. She needs a lot of help right now. And, I've been able to be the son that I've always wanted to be, you know. Um, my mother told me that, I was like just a, like, just, she could never count on me, but now when she needs me the most, she can count on me, because I'm sober and I can be, like I said, that son I wanted to be. Um, my relationship with my wife, the relationship with my stepson, Zachary, you know, um, all those relationships are great now. My production at work is, I'm a top performer at work. I'm a firm believer that, it says in the big book that most people in AA are really good at something. Um, we usually just stand in our own way. So my experience has been that if you get sober and stay sober and do all little things, that whatever your passion is, that you'll be the best you can be at it, and that will be rewarding. You know, so I have a lot of gifts today. I live in a beautiful home. There's plenty of food in the refrigerator. Um, but the most important thing to me is to make sure that I keep the program in the number one slot. Um, because if I do that, um, you know, the literally the rest of the stuff just takes care of itself. And when I don't know what to do, sometimes I do nothing. Or, I can talk about it with my sponsor. I can write about it. I can make good sound decisions. And if the decision is wrong, I can figure out why. But most of the time I can make really good decisions now. And that's led to, a great life. And, I'm really happy that I was able to talk to you folks tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. If you're new or coming back, this is a We Together Us program. It really is. Just get yourself some numbers and stay connected and just keep coming, because you don't got to get AA. It will get you, it really will. It will get you. All you got to do is keep coming. And sooner or later, you'll hear the right speaker. You'll meet the right person to help you with your journey. You'll read the right piece of literature. Something will connect. You'll wake up and you'll know, what your higher power is all about. It will come together for you. So if you're new, just hang in there. And, if you've been around a while, make sure you're taking care of the new person, because they're the most important person in this meeting tonight. Because if somebody didn't take care of me, I wouldn't be here for you tonight. So again, my name's Cliff. I'm an alcoholic. Thanks.